Hi everyone. Hopefully you've gotten used to the online format and how I have it laid out. There are going to be some glitches, some typos, other things. So if you see a problem, let me know about it. Anyway, last week you read essays by Carr, Harper, and Andrews, and you're going to, talk about those and talk about data privacy. Anyway, for this week, I figured I'd give you a little bit of a video. And what you're going to do is you're going to go, of course, into course content and look at your course online. And the things that I have set for you this week is really getting you deeper into your topic. Last week you were introduced to the topic by reading the 3 essays and knowing a little bit about different things. Hopefully you paid attention to web lining and how they decide decide loans based on your tracking history or your surfing history. Anyway, this week, what we're going to do is get a little deeper into the topics that you are going to write about and start collecting sources for your argument rebuttal paper. So I do have you watch some videos on using sources. I do have you participate in the discussion board about data privacy. You're going to look at the upcoming essay, and the upcoming essay is going to give you a choice between 2 specific types of data privacy. The first one is data privacy for college students, and I figure it's relevant to you because you're in a community college. Some of you are dual enrollment, but in the next year or two, many of you are going to be looking at 4-year colleges, and it's good to know how they do some of the selection and how are they using your data. And some of it might seem pretty good, like for mental health, in order to make sure that students aren't getting suicidal or too anxious about things. Others might actually interfere with choices. And one example I can give you, I don't have any of those as articles, but a year or two ago, SAT had decided, College Board, for those of you that know, SAT had decided that what they were going to do is they were going to collect data on you when you signed up to take the SAT, and then they were going to use that data and tabulate it based on where you go to high school, what community you live in, is the community on the poor side, wealthy side, and all those things. And they were going to give the colleges scores. Now, their idea was to make sure that they leveled the playing field, and they gave minority students or students with financial difficulties better access to a good education. But on the other hand, they were collecting this information on all of you, using it to make decisions, but not telling you how you rated. So they were keeping you from knowing how the data that they collected on you was going to be used by colleges to make a decision. They backed off on it. It's not something they're going to do. But it lets you know that there's a lot more to how they use information than merely making your experience pretty good. You can decide whether it bothers you or not. It's your argument rebuttal. You can take whatever stance. And then the other one deals with the pandemic that we're now going through. And I know that for some of you, you've probably heard more than enough about it. And if that's the case, skip it and go back to the college one. But one of the things that's been happening, both in China and here, is they've been using cell phone data to track outbreaks and occurrences and how people are moving. Now in China, they actually use facial recognition, and they would go after people that weren't following the stay-at-home order, like they'd recognize them on one of the cameras in the city, and they have a huge database, and they could go and pinpoint who it was, show up at their house, lock them up if they needed to because they weren't following orders. In our case, some private companies, because our government's not allowed to do this, some private companies are using the GPS data in our phones, and they're tracking whether we're staying at home as a group, not individually, but as a group, where the hot spots are. For instance, all of the college spring break people in Florida, they collected data on that, and then they saw how they dispersed to the rest of the United States, and they predicted some new hot spots, especially in the Midwest. Anyway, what you want to do is learn a little bit about either one of those topics, and this week you'll tell me which one you've decided to do, and you're going to go and collect some sources and do an annotated works cited just like you did for the problem solution essay. So when you go in here, you notice it's just like I had last week. I go and I give you a list of all the things that you're supposed to do. And while the list may look long, hopefully you realize it's not as overwhelming as it might seem, appear. So it's not there yet because I'm recording it, but my video introduction is going to be right there. I also have another video about using sources. It was made by one of my colleagues, and I'm sharing that with you. You're going to have a discussion board where you're going to look back at Carr's and Harper's essay, and you're going to critique them. Who did a good job of taking their stance, which stance do you agree with, and even though you agree with it, did he do a good or not so good job in it? Now, for this discussion board, I'm going to try something different. You can do whatever you're comfortable with, but you can either type your response or you can upload a video of yourself responding orally. So if you were doing the type response, I'm looking for about 200 words each, and that doesn't matter whether you're responding to the two authors or you're responding to your classmate. For video responses, you need to speak for about 2 minutes, and it can't be just empty silence and ums and stuff. But 2 minutes of solid explanation, and to have a list of examples and page numbers handy, because you're going to have to support some of what you say just like you would if you typed it out. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's your choice. You can do a blend. You can do some video, some written. You can do all video or all written. It's whatever you want to do. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is when you get ready to do your annotated works cited, you're going to click there, and I've got 3 things for you. One of them is a research guide for the library where they've provided a whole bunch of different links, different databases that are going to work for you. And if you have questions, let me know. And then the other one is for the college campuses. I've collected about 5 or 6 articles for you, and you can use any one of them. And they're PDFs, but you can also go back to the ProQuest newspaper database for many of them and use the citation to help you create your works cited. And I also have the same thing for the pandemic. Now, for the pandemic, a lot of them are going to be sources that discuss what's going on in Korea and China, but you could talk about it, how it relates to the U.S. and how we feel about the government having our data. Is it more important to have the data in order to protect everybody? Anyway, just like normal, if you have questions, let me know. Remember, if you want, you can have a discussion with me online. We can go and do the virtual chat. You can email me, whatever it takes. Don't be shy about asking questions, asking for feedback or help or whatever it might be. Hope you have a good week, and I look forward to seeing your posts on the discussion board. And one of them, probably your easiest one this semester, will be telling me which topic you plan to choose for this essay.